Because Banter with Richie B Productions is launching an all-new podcast network. 4 shows, 4 hosts, 1 powerhouse of paranormal and cryptid entertainment all week long. Ghost Cats and Cryptids joining the Banter with Richie B podcast network every Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Join researcher Jean Tewksbury as she dives into the world of mountain lions, the elusive predators known as ghost cats. Jean also explores cryptids, separating fact from folklore and asking the questions others won't. Kick off your week on Tuesdays with the one and only Wojo, host of Home of the Boom. He's diving deep into the world of cryptids, Bigfoot, and the mysteries that shake the woods. Interviews, investigations, and the loudest boom in the cryptid community. Every Tuesday from 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Fridays get a little darker and a whole lot prettier. Join Sam from Sam's Pretty Paranormal, where makeup meets the macabre. It's Sam After Dark, spooky storytelling, and her fan favorite segment, Cooking for the Dead. Tune in every Friday from 9 to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for glam, goosebumps, and all things ghoulish. And every Saturday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the flagship show returns. Banter with Richie B live, featuring Richie B and Wojo. From updates to investigations to wild discussions, this is the core of the network. Raw, real, and always unpredictable. Spend your Saturday evenings with the duo that started it all. 4 nights of content, 4 incredible hosts, cryptids, ghosts, glam, stories that will keep you on the edge of your seat. This is the Banter with Richie B Podcast Network.
That one is just absolutely beautiful.
Saturday night, get ready for the weird, the bizarre, and the unexplained. Banter with Richie B is bringing you a special guest you do not want to miss. Joining us is Bigfoot Michigan Rob, YouTube creator, Bigfoot researcher, and the mind behind the popular segment Weird and Bizarre News. Rob dives into strange headlines, unexplained encounters, and the stories that make you stop and say, "What did I just hear?" We're talking Bigfoot, high strangeness, and the kind of bizarre news that only Rob can deliver. February 28th, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, live on Banter with Richie B. Don't miss this wild conversation, because when Bigfoot Michigan Rob shows up, things get weird.
With further ado, we are going to start off with what we do, the bizarre news.
Hey everybody, welcome to the second episode of Ghost Cats and Cryptids. I'm your host, Jean. Let's see who's been in here. Sun Dragons. Hey, Sam, of course. Sam, love you. You're such big help. You were so awesome. Mary, thank you, Mary. I appreciate you sending out invites to your friends for the Ghost Cat page. Who else do we have? Wojo. is in the house. Moon at Noon, it's good to see you. Trying to get through these as quick. Giovanni, good evening. Come on. Mojo. Let's see. Mojo. Tim. Hi, Tim. Who else we got? I think I'm catching up here. Adam, my brother from another mother. I'm so happy you were able to join tonight. Kelly, hi. It's nice to see you. And Heather. Oh, hi, Heather. Oh, my gosh. I'm so glad you were able to make it. Denny. Hi, Denny. And, of course, Bigfoot with Banter. Banter with Richie B. Richie B in the house. So tonight we're going to kind of continue on from last week with my research. But what I ended up doing at one point, I was lucky enough to meet a gentleman named Richard Brown. I met him in 2023. A friend of mine said you should really reach out to him. He has a lot of knowledge on the mountain lion sightings in the state, and he also had a knowledge on Bigfoot sightings as well. And he got me in contact with a colleague of his who is very much into looking into other ways of researching Bigfoot, and one being DNA. I'm not smart when it comes to DNA. On any of that level, scientific stuff, no. When it comes to basic science, yes, I can handle that. But when you start getting into DNA, I'm lost. But the more that we spoke and stuff, he shared a paper with me on EDNA, which I found extremely intriguing. The paper, they had actually done a study where they had set up these fans in and around a zoo and were able to collect samples and got I think it was like 17 vertebrae, which was the animals. They got reptilian, they got bird, they got plant DNA. They actually got DNA from cats in the neighborhood around the zoo. So it was a really neat study. Still didn't know much, but I thought it was kind of an interesting concept. And he said that even though he does the Bigfoot stuff and it's a little bit harder with the DNA, he said maybe you ought to try to use it with yours because you're looking for an animal that does actually exist. It's just not supposed to be in these areas. So I was looking more into it. He thankfully was working, corresponding with a scientist who had done some eDNA in some wetlands and was able to get DNA of like the local fauna and different stuff. So he knew protocols that would be happening and that you would need to follow different steps and stuff. So we kept speaking about it, talking, he got his stuff set up, and then he graciously decided that, you know what, let's see what we can do here, and we'll get you set up if you want. Oh, thank you, Sam. I love you too. Let's see. We got, why is this not going? Let's see. We got, hi, Rachel. Oh, Tansei Elder. I'm so glad you can make it. So anyways, back to my topic here. As you can tell, I get all flighty. Squirrel. But with the discussions we had, we decided, all right, you know what, let's see what we can do. And we started reaching out to different universities to see if they had a way of analyzing samples of eDNA. We got no response. I didn't get any responses. I was ghosted literally on the topic. It was kind of frustrating because I was trying to learn something new, trying to do something new that would benefit, I thought, my research, and getting nowhere at it. So it was a bit tedious. And then thankfully, I was asked by Mr. Tim Vogel if I would like to be a guest speaker at his Cobble Mountain Critter Festival that he held last year in 2025. So, of course, I said yes because the Vogel brothers have done a lot for me. I love being able to talk to them. They're a wealth of knowledge on the topic of Bigfoot and on other subjects too. So got to go there, got to meet Richie and Wojo. a lot of other people, great people, Matt Moniz. I got to meet Ernie Davio. Conversations with him were amazing. Once the festival was over with, I was standing around with my husband and we were talking with Eric about, different things. And I brought up the fact that I was trying to do some stuff with EDNA, but I was having no luck whatsoever. And Eric told me, you need to talk to Tim. Tim may have somebody who can help you. So left my husband with Eric and I just made a beeline for Tim. Stood there and let him finish the conversation he was in and then discussed the possibilities of if he knew somebody who might be able to help. And hi, Moon at Noon. Hi, Michelle. How are you? In doing so, he brought up the name Kitty Cat. Hello. He brought up the name Darby Arcott, which I knew him through Bigfoot stuff. But I didn't know exactly, how he could help or anything. But he's like, you really should reach out to him and talk to him and see what he might be able to come up with for an idea on this stuff. So I did reach out to him shortly after I got back from Cobble Mountain. Hey, dude, how are you? And when I did, he messaged me back, gave me his email address, asked me to send what I was asking in an email, so he had a better understanding. So I went over the fact of what I do for research, how I was brought into maybe trying to use eDNA as a way to collect samples and maybe get positive proof that there could be mountain lions within the state. So he was very intrigued, and we had a Zoom meeting on June 13th. We discussed the matters because I was more worried about cost than anything, because DNA being analyzed can cost a pretty penny. While we were talking, it was going to cost a lot more the way that we were talking than I could do. Hey, Josh, how are you? Henry, good to see you. So we decided to kind of step back for a little bit, think about things, and we would get in touch again in a few weeks. So in July, we had another meeting, and he was able to, in the time that we were apart, get a hold of some people who thought it would be a great collaboration to try to come up with a project for this. And it was well within my budget, because I was taking care of, all of the costs for what needed to be used to collect samples and stuff. And so we decided that we would have a group meeting to make sure that everybody wanted to move forward. Everybody could meet each other and know exactly what would be planned and going on. And so throughout the next few months, that's what we did. We kept talking, and then we decided that we were going to go forward with it, and we started the Eastern Panther Project. So I had went to get fans set up, because with eDNA, I was getting airborne samples, because eDNA, you can get samples from the air, from the water, from the ground. I was doing it by air. So I had to have a special filter paper. I had to do a tedious amount of steps to get it properly sanitized so that it could be used. Same thing with the fans. It was a lot of work and a lot of time, but it was worth it to be able to try to see if there was a way to actually find out if we have, what animals we have in the area. Hi, John. How are you? Good to see you. Thomas. Oh, my glorious weirdo is here. Yay. Thank you for stopping in. So yeah, it was a lot of work, a lot of steps to follow, because I had to send in the protocols that I had. They had to approve it. We had to have a timeline of when things would be collected and stuff. So I spent several weeks between prepping to get the fans ready and then trying to get locations of where I could set these fans up and move forward with this project. So I tried trying to come up with areas where there had been sightings within the last, 10 years. And in some areas where there's been sightings in the last 5, and multiple, trying to get areas like that to see if maybe something is still around, or, if it has moved on. I mean, you don't know. They have such a large territory. So I set fans up in 4 of the main counties. Let's see, John. Okay, hey, Paul, nice to see you. So I set up fans in Lincoln County, which is the county I live in the area of mine in South Waldoboro. I set some up in North Waldoboro. I set some up in 4 towns over. I set some up in Cumberland County, Knox County, and Waldo County. So I was traveling all over the state. Most of the places that I did were in areas that I know of had sightings reports. Other ones I used preserves, because with some preserves, they've got just the right amount of coverage. They've got the water source. They have, a food source. So I wanted to try something like that. And I wanted to do it in a way that I could still, because a lot of preserves, people do hike on them. So I am one, when I do hike, I like to go off the beaten trail and go places that most people don't. So that's what I did with the testing. I had to have, after one of the meetings, the first set of samples sent back in. Okay, so I just keep checking chat to make sure I'm not missing anybody. I'm so happy everybody showed up, and I know it's a lot of rambling tonight, but it's one of those things when you're doing research. After a while, if you're doing the same thing and you're not getting any results, to change stuff. I mean, Richie's done it. Richie and Wojo have done it. I know a lot of people that have. So this was one of the things that I decided to do, to kind of see if a step out of my comfort zone, and it may not work. I could fall flat on my face, but to me, it's worth trying something different just to see. Yes, Sam, please smash the emojis. Please, people, please. And thank you again to all of those who have joined the Ghost Cats Encrypted Facebook page. I really appreciate having the followers. Please continue to invite your friends. This is a journey that I wasn't sure I was ready for, but I really appreciate Richie giving me this opportunity, and Sam has been amazing. She's amazing executive producer, but I tell you, if I have a question, she's like right there. She's great. She's got all the answers. So to continue on. So with collecting the samples, I collected them. I did have a few hiccups along the way. Some family issues came up. I did explain and send emails that I needed, I was going to get the stuff one way or the other. I was going to need a little bit of time. And let's see. And it was a little hard at times, but I was able to get the first 10 samples to them when they wanted them. The gentleman who was analyzing them is actually a professor, and he was teaching his students how to do this technique because they'd never done it. So he turned it into a class, which was great, because the purpose of this project is, when we were discussing it, is, yes, we want to look for this stuff, but we want to be able to see if there's a way for more researchers and more scientists to work together doing projects like this. And with it being a mountain lion that we're looking for, cougar, ghost cat, whatever you want to call them, it's an actual animal that's supposed to be extinct in the area, but they know that there's reported sightings even in their areas, because these gentlemen are in different states than me. And so they were very intrigued by the whole concept of trying to do this. And they wanted to get, the professor wanted to get his students really involved in this, because he explained the fact that they're, extinct in the East and stuff. And they turned it into a project of analyzing the samples but they also put it into a perspective too of, okay, so what if, you're looking for something other than a mountain lion? And one of these students did mention, well, what if we came across, DNA that was unknown and it could possibly be, Bigfoot DNA. So it got the students thinking, which was great. The issue is, and once I got the first set of results in, I was a little upset and stuff, and I had and I did speak to Richie. Richie was great on it. He was very, very, very helpful, and I had talked to him about the process that had happened, and he was trying to talk me down slowly because I was a little upset when they finally did get the stuff done. It was great, the first email, because he said that he was surprised at the fact that they were able to actually extract any DNA, because this is a brand new process for him and the students. But and so he was ecstatic. And he said the next process is cleaning up the DNA to find out what they have. When they did do the cleanup on it, it came back that it was more bacteria. They didn't actually have any animal DNA, which was frustrating for me, because the areas that I put them in, there was plenty of deer, there was coyote. One area, I know that there's a bobcat that lives in that area. So I'm not sure the steps, but it's, like I said, it's new. So we're doing, I'm doing the best I can. And I know I follow protocols, and I'm sure, it's new to the students, and I'm sure that they're doing the best that they could. It was just a little upsetting, but I did my second batch and got them in to them. They tested a few. I didn't get any results back on that, but most were saved, because the gentleman is actually going to be doing a class in July. So he's saving those samples, and has asked me to collect more if I would, because the students really liked it, and he wants to continue on with the project. And he figures what he'll probably do this time is he'll do a collective sample of like his house cat, and then whatever I send in, we can try to figure out, what animals that were in mine compared to the house cat, which is kind of a neat little thing to do. At this point, they are planning to publish a paper on just the process we went through and stuff. I was at first not allowed to speak of it, but I have spoken to Darby, and he was like, yes, feel free. I told him I wouldn't mention any names, because I know at first that was one of the things that I was asked not to do. So he told me it was fine. He also then, a few days later, reached out to me and said that he would like to continue this study. And I was kind of shocked by it, but he asked if I would be willing to do this all over again next fall. So I reached back and told him I would be extremely happy. And I also have decided he wants me to hold off, but I'm still going to probably at least try later in the year, next year. I'm going to try different locations in different states. I have spoken to a couple people about doing one in, doing some fans in their area in Massachusetts. I'm going to reach out to some people in New Hampshire, and going to try to go from there. System LOL, sorry. Yeah. So even though the first phase of the EDNA project is done and we didn't get any of the results that we wanted, we are going to continue on. And I'm looking into a different filter material, because the one that I was told to use is extremely thick. It's extremely hard. And there have been more papers published, and there's more findings on other materials that are actually a lot easier to use. and I will probably step up and start doing more work on that and getting that ready. So in July, I can start collecting some more samples, and then in the fall, start collecting more for another group to start doing their research. I just wanted to put, okay. I was like going, okay, what? Trying to keep up with the comments just in case. I don't want to miss anybody. All right. Get back to chats. So that is the topic of the EDNA. Okay, see, I'll jump back on Facebook. Yeah, it is awesome news that I can continue on with the project. Like I said, it's brand new. It's something I'm still learning about, but I do think it's a great concept for that. And when we were talking, when Darby and I were first talking, it wasn't just like the mountain lion DNA. It was like, what if we could find something else? What if there's another animal or a bird or something that's not supposed to be in the area or in this state, you know, and stuff. So it's kind of neat because we might be able to find something different that's not supposed to be here either. And one of the things that brought to my attention that I thought was really cool was Mike Tinsley at one point had posted a picture and was curious because the picture looked like it was a wolverine, which New Hampshire doesn't have wolverines and stuff. So it was one of those things of, oh, this is really cool because you don't know, you know, what's out there all the time. You know, we think we have all the answers and we don't. And that's one of the things with the research is trying to figure it out. And last week when I was talking about doing the talk that I did with Tim and stuff, I did it on cryptozoology. And what I always love is, you know, there's new species being discovered every day. And 2019, when I did the talk, it was a great year to do that talk because there was so many new species that were discovered. And the one that blew my mind and a lot of people's was the Tapanuli orangutans, because they are a species that was living underneath scientists' noses, and they just assumed that they were the Sumatran orangutans. And these orangutans only live in like one part of what they call the Botang Tora forest area. And when one was brought in injured and stuff, they realized that it was not a Sumatran orangutan. The bone structure was different. So they started doing DNA tests and different stuff and did some with Borneo as well to find out that this was a brand new species of orangutan. And when they did the DNA testing on the Tapanuli orangutans, they found out that it's the newest species with the oldest lineage to all of the great apes, which was a major discovery. So you have to remember that when it comes to this stuff, you know, we know a lot, but we don't know everything that's out there. And Richie's shown that with his podcast. I mean, you know, he was looking for Bigfoot and now he's found a whole lot more than that. And I think that that's important when it comes to research too, because it just shows that you're not stuck in the same pattern. You're doing different stuff and you're finding new stuff or finding new ways to discover things and be able to do the work. We sure do know. That's right. We don't. I completely. I love the all caps on that, Giovanni, because it's true. I'm sorry, but and this could sound rude, and I don't mean it to, but humans are so arrogant with stuff. You know, it's we know it all. That, you know, we can do anything. There's a lot out there we don't know. There's a lot we can't do, and there's a lot we still need to learn. And I think that that's a great, you know, message at times. The ocean is amazing. Yeah, there's so much in the ocean. I mean, we haven't even discovered a lot of what's there. It's insane. Oh, we are. So yeah. So with everything that's going on with the, hold on, I've got a cat that's trying to get into my room. And not a ghost cat, it's just a little cat. I still don't want anything climbing on my keyboard and ruining anything in here. So yeah, it's with the EDNA, I'm very, very excited because I am looking forward to being able to see what I can find. And even if I don't, the way that I look at things is I do this research and I may not be able to prove anything. But to me, it's always worth the effort to try to at least attempt, because you can't move forward if you don't try. All right, so that kind of takes up the whole eDNA part of it. It's it was like I said, I mean, it was an 8 months progress to get everything done, but the stuff itself only took, like 2 months between getting the samples, sending the samples, and having them analyzed and stuff. So right now it's kind of a lull. Anyways, I do go still go out and try to see what I can find for tracks. It's been way too cold though to do my trail cameras, because it just below zero temperature has been horrible. So yeah, now I've got to try to figure out what I'm going to do moving forward and stuff. So, and they're still okay. I'm just looking to see what's going on here. Okay. Yep. So it was, I want to say again, thank you guys who have actually put out invites for my page. I really appreciate it. Today, Sam and I both responded to a woman that asked if the page was actually about ghost cats. Oh. Behind me, that's actually a taxidermied mountain lion. It's not a painting. It's a taxidermied mountain lion. The woman that Sam and I responded to, she was asking if the page was actually about ghost cats. And we both responded that it was about ghost cats and cryptids. We explained mountain lions and stuff. And I had actually sent the woman a private message explaining what it was. It was a podcast, page. And I did have a research page, and she was more than welcome to, join that if that was something interesting. And she was actually, how often do you get out? Oh, I try to get out this time of year. I try to get out at least a couple times a month. In the summertime, I'm out probably 2-3 times a week. And that just depends on if I have reports and stuff on where I've got to go and how long that's going to take. Because I will go to people's properties and do reenactment photos and try to get things lined up and talk to them and stuff. But as of right now, because the amount of snow we've gotten, I have only been out just a couple times a month, and normally it's a couple times a week and stuff. Yeah, that's I call him Dobby. He was last week when I was talking about my research, I mentioned that I was lucky enough to inherit, well, you can see the skulls behind me. And then if I move back a little bit more, that files thing there, the first row is my books on the topic. And then the next 2 rows are actual other scientific papers, reported mountain lion sighting reports, and different stuff that Miss Nancy Dobson, who was an amazing researcher out of New York, when she passed away, her family wanted her work to go on to another researcher, and we connected, and I went to New York to actually meet with them and stuff, and they gave me, I had my vehicle had the seats down and was completely full, and they I tried to tell him I wouldn't take that and I was going to pay him for it, but he actually gifted me the mountain lion that was hers. So I call him Dobby, because, after Nancy and her husband, Bill, who was nice enough to do it, there was Dobson. So that's Dobby, the mountain lion. Yeah, so the woman that we talked to, she was actually talking about literal ghost cats. She says she's got a ghost cat in her, that lives on her property. So I reached out and said, that's wow, because I haven't heard of any stories. I mean, there are some folklore stories of ghost cats, which I've been looking into, for maybe a future episode and stuff. I've got a bunch of different topics lined up for episodes. And so I was like, well, maybe that will be one of the topics, because it's something different than what I normally do. And I will be doing stuff on cryptids next week. I'm super, super excited because next week I'm doing my episode is going to be, and it might end up being a two-parter because there is a lot to do with the genetic anomalies of big cats and other animals. Thank you, G. And it's just one of those topics that's really, really fascinating. And to dive into it and to research, it's like you go down a rabbit hole because there's so much. Yeah, she literally has a ghost cat. Yeah, it's a cat, not, a big cat. And she actually, we're going to be talking later on this week. I told her I would love to hear what she had to say on it, because I have literally not heard anything about a ghost cat before, a cat. So I found it extremely interesting and stuff. But yeah, so next week's episode is going to be kind of crazy, because I want to jump into that. There's a lot of genetic anomalies in big cats, even the small big cats, because mountain lions are considered small big cats. They're not up there with the lions, the tigers, and jaguars and stuff, because they're actually smaller. Yes, make sure you check out the merch for Richie B. He's got some great stuff out there. Let's see. Anything else? So does anybody have any questions or anything? Because I can move on to another subject altogether. Hourglass, purple sand, orange, red, heart-shaped diamond. What? I don't understand the hourglass thing, but so yeah, even like with the genetic anomalies in big cats and different genes that cause different color variations, different things like that, it happens in other animals too. And so I figure I would cover that topic and stuff, because here it's not a big cat, but we talk cryptids too. In Maine, one of our cryptids is called a specter moose, and it was first seen at Lobster Lake. Gentleman saw it. It was, he said, much larger than a regular moose. It was all white, antlers all white, eyes were brown, so it was not albino. And he called it a ghost moose because he shot at it. And a collar program out there trying to track movements. I love cats. I didn't realize that was an hourglass. Oh, okay. I was, yeah. And so he said it disappeared. It shot at it, just disappeared. And there's been sightings over the years where people have come across it. Hunters have literally said, there was a story of hunters out, and they were out moose hunting. They shot and killed a white moose, hung it up. Next morning they get up and the moose was gone. And a few hours later, it's running through their camp trying to trample them. And then about 2 hours later, it's seen 90 miles away by somebody else. The funny thing about that is there is a condition in moose called leucism, or leucism is what it says, but it looks like leucism. And it literally, how would legislation act? These mountain lions come. How would legislation affect? I see. I don't think it would. If okay, now we're back on the mountain lion stuff. So Tim, thank you, Tim. I don't think it would, because I have talked to the state biologists, like I said, the former and the current ones and stuff. And even when they were declared extinct, nothing changed. None of, so it's like, yes, they'd have to be protected. That's about the only legislation. And I don't know how they'd go about that, because right now they're supposed to be, they do have protection on them, which is not protection, because you could shoot one. You can say you felt harm and you're fine. Or you'll get a slap on the wrist if, you didn't feel like you were, being threatened by one. But nothing changed. The logging laws didn't change once they were declared extinct. Nothing, changed. It's just, there's a lot that goes on in this state. And people start saying, oh, if you see them, then, they're going to cut back on hunting. They're going to do this. And as far as I know, then it's not going to happen. And I don't know that much would change. I mean, because we have such a vast state. It's 90% forest area. It's the 90% of the state is forest area. And with the range that they have and stuff, unless you knew exactly what their range was and decided this area needs to be off limits, there's no way of knowing. I mean, that they're that elusive and that hard to track. And until they can actually verify that they're back or whatever, then that would be an issue and stuff. But so, yeah, I mean, I'm not really sure. I'm actually looking forward to connecting with you to talk to the gentleman that you had spoke about, that is part of the Inland Forestry's service, because I would like to know his thoughts and impacts on it, because when you talk to most of the people that are involved in it and stuff, and that's why a lot of the reports in the state don't get reported, because they're told, they tell me it's robotic. Literally, if you say anything, it's like, no, you didn't. It was, misidentification. It was a dog. It was a bobcat. It was and that's what they get every single time. So it would be nice to talk to somebody who is a little bit more open-minded and actually has an interest in knowing more about the whole topic. That would be great. Did I miss something? Because all I see is OMG. Hey, Tubin, how you been? Glad to see you. AJ, I hope I said that right. Hi, how are you? It's most of it has started with Maine, and then I reached out to I've done some looking into the New Hampshire. I did with Massachusetts. They say their last one was killed in 1958. I think that's what it was. I've got the paperwork on it and stuff. And I get sightings from, I've gotten sighting reports from New Hampshire and from Mass. I've gotten sightings reports from Vermont. And now with Nancy's stuff, I have stuff from New York. I have stuff from Pennsylvania. I have talked to from the ECBRO, because he has had some interest off of each other. It does go further out. I try to keep up. I've talked to a gentleman in Alabama, Dustin Grammer. He has had different sightings. He knows other people that have. So what do we need to do in other states to assist with valid documentation of wildcats? What they want is what they say they want is they want DNA samples, hair samples. They want a carcass, because that's one of the main things here is they're like, well, one would be hit by a car, you'd know. Well, we don't have, to me, if we have a population, it's not a very big one. I mean, it would be a very small one, but they're also, like I said, we're more rural than most states. I mean, we have Portland, yes, and stuff as a city and everything, but most of the areas is just, it's very rural. So it wouldn't be that easy for one to, get hit. And even if one did stuff, I know people that have hit a deer and the things bounced off the car and ran off. You don't always have a body when something gets hit. But they also they look for tracks. They have it's the same thing with Bigfoot sightings, Class A, Class B. Class A is a visual sighting and usually DNA. And then second one is the tracks and stuff. And the state says that there's been no documented sightings since the last known one was killed in 1938, which is a load of crap, because I have a newspaper article where a woman saw one in Cape Elizabeth, reported it. They actually found hair samples, had it analyzed, and it came back positive for cougar DNA and stuff. There's been tracks in Monmouth that were positively identified, and they casted them that were mountain lion. It's just, I don't know what the issue is. I honestly don't. Every time I talk, I'm told that they're not here, unless it's in transit and stuff. And I have been told that most of the time it is considered, it's misidentification. And yes, I will wholeheartedly admit, sometimes your eyes will play tricks on you. Things look bigger or, stuff. And the one thing that blew my mind is when we were talking and I thought that he was absolutely crazy, was the number one misidentification though for a mountain lion is actually a deer and not a dog. And in this area, the deer are the same color. And I thought that was absolutely crazy until I saw a woman. I was on one of the wildlife pages that I follow on Facebook. She was from British Columbia and she had a trail camera set up on her property. And in that camera shot, and one day you've got a deer coming down over the hill, and in the second one you have a mountain lion. And she put the photos side by side, and yes, a deer head is smaller than that, but the body wise, when it was coming down, they were the same color, same stocky built and stuff. And you got to think, when you're driving 45 50 miles an hour and something, and you see something like that, it would be easy to misidentify. But I thought that was absolutely craziest thing I ever saw until that woman posted it, and I was like, holy crap. And I actually printed off the photo. I got a hold of her and said I do talks and stuff, and I asked her if it would be possible for me to use her photo to explain what I was saying. And I told her I'd give her full credit, which I did put her name on the photo. I showed her and she was like, yes, please do. Yeah, it's insane, Sam. You wouldn't believe it. It was like crazy that they even remotely look like. Hi, Lori. Good to see you. So yeah, there's so many. With this research, the more that I look into stuff, the more that I do, it is like opening, somebody told me I'm opening a can of worms, and things just kind of snowball, go in one direction, then they can turn and go in a different direction. It's crazy, but I really enjoy it because I have a really deep love of animals. I have a respect, especially for these cats, because there's not many left. And, in this area, there's hardly any. And yes, in California, they've got a ton. But also, like I said, in a state like that, yes, you're going to have the fatalities because they've got the freeways and different things. Then again, it was 2 isolated cases. See, Giovanni, they're isolated. And I've printed off stuff from out west. Like I said in my first one of my interviews I did with Wyoming, because they were having a lot of sightings in a town, which if they have them in a town, they do go in and they try to find it and remove it. And try to get it relocated and stuff. And but at the bottom of the thing, their inland fisheries and wildlife will tell you if you have a sighting, it doesn't mean that they're going to be able to find it, because these animals are that stealthy and they're that quick, and they climb trees. They can leap from tree to tree, and you can lose them. Most of the time, even when scientists go to collar them, they use dogs. It's the best way to track them, because they are, like I said, very elusive, very stealthy, and they can be there 1 minute and they're gone, and you may never see them again. You're shut down. Yeah, that's what it is here. So a lot of people, even the reports that I got from Nancy from New York, Pennsylvania, a lot of people put down, no, they didn't. Somebody asked me when I had mine, they were like, did you talk to a warden? No, I didn't talk to a warden, because I'm going to be told that that's not what I saw. And I know what I saw. Okay, I almost hit it with my car. I found the track. I went back, and when I showed it to the state biologist, he was just completely happy seeing that. He was like, oh my gosh, this is, not symmetrical, because canine prints are symmetrical. They make an X. Feline prints, they don't leave claw marks usually, because they're retractable. Sometimes though, you will get, if it's something that's a little slick or something, they might just Uh-oh. There we go. Okay, I was like, what the heck happened? But, there's 4 people that have them as pets. And the one thing that I wanted to know was, I don't want people's names and I don't want where they live, but an area or a location, because if I'm setting up EDNA, fans and trying to get samples and stuff, I don't want them contaminated by something, because somebody's got one as a pet. Yes, I do have my print, and I don't have it on here. Let me hold on. Oh, hold on. There we go. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it though, but I did up a poster board, and that's the print right there. That's my hand, and that's the print. This was the area of road it was running up, and that's the culvert that it was coming out of, but that's the track that I cast. Oh, I'm froze. I thought it came out of it, because I did see that there was an issue, because I ended up blacking out. Can somebody tell me that I'm back? I don't know what happened. Okay, I'm good. Okay, cool. Yeah, I was like, I know that there was an issue at one point because the screen went black and then I came back. So I was like, I figured I froze. Okay, you can see. Yay, thank you guys. Sorry. Oh. Yeah, so just in case I froze, I don't have it with me, but that is the picture of the track that I got. And that's the one that I showed the state biologist, and he was completely and utterly superly impressed with it until he found out what I saw and where I got it. And then, yeah, not so much. I'm glad that I'm back. Thanks, Wojo. It's nice to know I'm doing great. It's just, yeah, this is still a learning curve for me, and I appreciate everybody tuning in, and I appreciate everybody's support, because this is all new. Oh, good, you did get to see it. All right, I just want to make sure because I wasn't sure when it froze if you got to actually see the print or not. Hi, Christina. Super excited. I'm going to be on Christina's show on the 24th. I will make a post so everybody can see that. Melissa. Oh, good. I'm glad you can hear me now. It's been a crazy night. How big was the paw you catch? Oh, it was a juvenile. So I mean, it fit in my hand because my hand was holding it. So it was about the size of my palm. Thank you, Giovanni. So it's getting up there. My show is getting ready to end. So I do want to remind you guys that next week I will be doing the episode on genetic anomalies in big cats. And I'm really super, super, super excited for that because there's a lot of different stuff to cover, not just with the mountain lions, but there's stuff to cover with like the black tigers in Asia. There's the lions of Savo are like one of my favorite ones. They actually did a movie called Ghosts in the Darkness because it was based on a true story of two man-eating lions in Africa. That there was something that was genetically different with them, which was very, very awesome. And like different cats, just, melanism and other stuff. So it's going to be a fun, I think a fun episode just because there's just going to be so much talk of all these different cats. And I will make sure that next week I have photos that I can pop up so you guys can actually see. So I don't think panthers are down here. Can mountain lions be black? That's one of the things I will go over with next week, is whether or not they can actually be black or albino, or if there's something else going on there. Oh, that story. That is an awesome, awesome story. It's a sad story because they literally slaughtered, a ton of people, but they're actually on display too at the Natural History Museum in Chicago. But I'm really looking forward to that. So as a reminder, Tuesday night, please tune in to Wojo's show, home of the boom, and you will get to see co-host Richie B. Friday nights, tune in to see Sam After Dark. Sam does an amazing show, spooky stories, all kinds of different stuff. And then, of course, Saturday night, we have Mr. Richie B back with Banter with Richie B. And like I'm going to end this with every show. Just remember, sometimes in research, you just have to say, what the hell? Have a good night, guys.